Yes, there is such a network. Well, one of the things is that it's an email thing that comes in, and it's but good news stories. Sometimes all you hear, of course, is bad news. So on the Good News Network, a couple of stories I want to share with you. And that is, the first one is about Lego. Lego, you know, the wonderful brick project that young people make all the time, different things. Well, they're piloting a new project that will use the bumps on their iconic bricks to help teach children Braille. That is for blind and visually impaired children. They'll have Braille bricks. Lego Braille bricks will be molded with the same number of studs that are used for individual letters and numbers in the Braille alphabet. But they will also continue to be compatible for all those young people to play with them as well. The idea is to make it inclusive, allowing sighted teachers and students and family members to interact so that they're sharing together. The reason being is that many people who are blind or visually impaired are not learning Braille. They are looking at and listening to records on CD or DVD or YouTube, any kinds of sounds. They're not learning the Braille alphabet as they once did. So one of the things is to have these Braille bricks available to them. Particularly critical, it says about the European Blind Union, saying this is particularly critical when we know that Braille users often are more independent, have a higher level of education and better employment opportunities. So if children are not learning Braille, to have an opportunity to be independent later on in life, this will help as they grow and learn. We strongly believe Lego Braille bricks can help boost the level of interest in learning Braille. So we're thrilled that the Lego Foundation is making this possible. This is certainly good news. Well, last week we were saddened by the destructive fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Many of the prized artifacts were saved because they've been put into storage due to renovations happening at the cathedral. That's good news in itself. But one of the things that maybe not everybody knew, but I just learned through the Good News Network, is that there was a home for 180,000 bees. They have a lot of roof space, a lot of places amongst all the different areas around the cathedral. So there was a beekeeper, and the beekeeper had hives. And one of the things that they were really concerned about was whether or not all these bees were killed. We know the story and the concern we have here in Canada around bees. We need pollinators. That's why Cheerios is putting out the bee kind of thing. Put in wildflowers, put in different things to raise awareness for the needs for bees. Well, the growing concern over in this area in France was all these bees were dead. But those bees were okay. The reason being is that all the smoke that was caused by the fire caused the 180,000 bees to become drowsy and fall asleep and stay close to home. So when the smoke cleared, they were okay. Isn't that good news? It's good news because there's going to be flowers and pollinators and all the things that are needed around the Paris Cathedral. Good news. Not only that, they'll able to get honey. Well, as we gather on this second Sunday of Easter, we continue to hear the good news story. The good news story that has been told for generations of people. For people, by people, shared because of faith. Christ is risen. Jesus is alive. The Son of Man who was killed, buried, has risen, is now alive. And this story from John occurs in the evening of the day of the resurrection, where the disciples are still gathered in fear. They're gathered in fear behind locked doors. They don't know what to think. Yes, they heard the women in the morning, but they're still not sure about what to think or feel or understand. But suddenly Jesus appears and is amongst them, and he says, "Peace be with you." He didn't say, "Don't be afraid, it's me." He said, "Peace be with you." And after this, he showed them his hands and the nail prints and his side where the sword had pierced him. And they truly were happy. They were rejoicing with Jesus. And Jesus spoke again and says, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I'm sending you." This is part of the beginning of the ministry of the disciples. Jesus is sending them out into the world. Jesus was not dwelling on what had occurred at the time of his death, when they all had left him for fear. But they moved on to understand the early hours after his resurrection. Jesus shares with them by breathing on them the gift, the Spirit of God. And then he tells them, your sins are forgiven. This is certainly good news. As Jesus forgave them of their sins and blessed them in the Spirit. And so now the disciples were prepared to go out and share in their ministry because they had received God's Spirit. But a couple of questions arise for us as we consider this good news story of Christ's resurrection. What were the sins Jesus was describing that the disciples needed forgiveness for? Did they need to be forgiven because they left Jesus to die on the cross and they hid out of fear for themselves? Did they need to be forgiven because Jesus had told them on several occasions, I'm going to die and I'm going to rise again? And they had forgotten those teachings? Had they even wondered what happened to him since Mary had seen him in the morning? What had they done so that they needed to be forgiven? Had they doubted Mary and the other women's statements of seeing Jesus? Or were they only partly believing? They weren't really sure. Could it be possible that Jesus was alive and needed to see him and touch him to believe it fully? Did the disciples believe that they saw and touched Jesus? Or did they really believe it was possible that he arose and was with them now? Why was Jesus offering forgiveness? Well, a little while after Jesus had left them, Thomas returns to where they had gathered, and they were still in awe and rejoicing and happy, because they had just seen Jesus, they had talked with him, they held him, they touched him. He was truly alive. We have seen the Lord. They couldn't wait to tell Thomas. But Thomas wasn't sure how to answer. Well, what do you mean? How could it be? How do you know? I want proof. I want proof. Thomas needed to touch Jesus' hands inside himself to really feel the presence of Christ. He truly doubted what the rest of the disciples now fully knew and believed. Jesus was alive. Well, a week later, Thomas and the disciples are gathered in the house and the doors are shut tight still. And Jesus comes, stands amongst them, says, peace be with you, and turns directly to Thomas and said, put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand, put it in my side. Thomas does this and says, do not doubt, but believe. So when Thomas touches him and hears him, Thomas declares, my Lord and my God, truly believing. It's Jesus' question says, have you believed because you've seen me? Have you believed because you've seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet come to believe. Well, that's kind of the question for us today, from 21st century eyes. Do you believe in the good news of Christ's resurrection? Maybe you can identify with the disciples and how they respond to hearing this good news for the first time. The woman that was closest to Jesus said that he was alive. Mary said, Jesus called me by name. But they weren't really sure. Peter and John knew that he was alive because they had been to the empty tomb and they saw the place where Jesus' body had lain. The linens were still there. The group gathered later in fear are still wondering if it's really true. After all, Jesus didn't appear to them yet. And yet when he does, they look overjoyed. We don't know what was said or done or what the joy was in the hearts of the disciples fully. All we do know, it was good news for them. And what happens? Thomas isn't there. But he comes later, and he was not really wanting to hear anything about it until he could touch Jesus and see him for himself. Well, the question is when did you first believe in Jesus? Right away after hearing the story, like Peter and John at the empty tomb? Or later on after hearing the story of Jesus' passion story from different perspectives, told different times throughout your life? Maybe you believe some of the story, or parts. Or maybe you're still looking for proof that Jesus is alive. But not because Christ Christ himself. You're not worried about him, but how Christ is alive and his Spirit carries on in the work and actions of others. You believe but still have questions or unbeliefs about the whole thing. You believe in the risen Christ and receive forgiveness and blessings and honor from God. Or maybe you're just not sure that the Spirit of God moves amongst us. This is the good news for all people. Jesus' death and resurrection is for all people, wherever you are on the spectrum of believing. Christ died for you. Christ rose to new life, and through this, you are forgiven of all sin. If you believe, profess your faith, you will receive the gift of eternal life in Christ. Today, our world scientists, worldwide, are discovering something new about God's creation. It was not that long ago that images of a black hole were filmed and released to the world, indicating that what we know as a galaxy might be more than one beyond us. The universe is bigger than we even have thought possible. But what does this mean for us as we seek more knowledge and discover even more about the world? Do we ask the question, did God make this happen? Is this possible? What is the good news we are to believe in when we hear about new discoveries, new cures, new ways of understanding our world? After Jesus ascends into heaven, the disciples begin their work of telling Jesus' story, involving his life, death, and resurrection. The gift and hope of eternal life is now being shared as teachings of Jesus were now being shared again and again. And what happened was the disciples were being imprisoned for teaching these stories again and again. But this was their life's purpose. And they just wanted to know what they could do. And so their question in our story from the book of Acts, the high priest questions and says, "We told you not to teach in the name of Christ, and here you are filling Jerusalem with your teachings, and you are determined to bring this man's blood on us," teaching about Christ's death and resurrection. But Peter and the others stand firmly. But we must obey God rather than any human authority. We must obey God. Because it is Jesus' story that Peter shares. It was God of our ancestors who raised Jesus, who died from crucifixion and was raised to life as leader and Savior, so that we might give repentance and forgiveness of sins. We are witnesses to this. They are the ones telling the story from their perspective, and this is why they're speaking to the high priest. And they say, for this reason, we have to tell the story and share the good news. Well, as Christians living almost 2,000 years later, after this story has been shared, we should be grateful for the disciples who stood up for their faith in the risen Christ. But this is how we know about Jesus. We must obey God rather than any human authority, they said. They knew Jesus was their teacher, their rabbi, their friend. And they also knew that he died and rose to new life for the sake of others. Jesus' passion story is for all of us who seek to be reconciled with God. It is because of the disciples who shared their story in faith and with hope. There were people who wanted the disciples killed for doing what they were doing. But the council set them free. But of course, they didn't really listen to what the high priest said, that is, don't do this. They carried on. They carried on at risk of imprisonment again and again. But this is how the church became established, as people of different faith backgrounds and experiences heard Jesus' story and the good news of eternal life. Well, the good news for us is that Jesus who died was risen again. It is through him that we're able to be forgiven. All those things which we have done wrong, and we can believe in him to lead and guide our lives always. Because Jesus came for everyone. The non-believers, the skeptics, the unsure, and those who fully believe in the resurrection and the eternal life Jesus offers. This is the good news. Because Jesus will call us to him through the Spirit and not give up. Jesus meets us where each one of us is, and what we believe or don't the passion story, for the good news possible for your life because of Jesus' death and resurrection. God's Spirit moves amongst us, and we will be blessed with Christ's peace. All we need to do is to listen, respond, and act. For the good news in Jesus Christ is that we are truly loved. Let us pray together. God, we praise you as we rejoice in Christ's resurrection and how he dispelled the doubts of Thomas. And even all the doubts today of those people who are truly skeptical and wondering. We pray that your Spirit will move amongst us, enabling us to feel your presence, so that we'll renew our faith, knowing that Christ is alive, because he lives within us. Bless us, O God, as we offer our lives to you in prayer and